6,000 years later. 6.5 hours later. A few inches later. Day 2.
Hello my YouTube fanatics and ESO lovers, welcome to another video of mine. So a few of you have been asking me about what I'm going to do with my Magplar, and I do apologize for taking a little bit longer than I wanted to put this video together, but as you saw from the beginning, I wasted some mats by legendarying the wrong item. Yep. Anyways, I had to farm Burning Spellweave, and the drop rate for Burning Spellweave, oh my god, it is brutal. It took me a couple of days, I'm not gonna lie. It took me a couple of days of farming, and unfortunately I do have a job, so that is a priority. As much as I would love to make ESO a priority, I do have other responsibilities. Anyways, without further delay, so this video is going to be to talk about the changes to the Magplar now, as far as gear, champion points, and so on. Armor, weapons, and even some of the skills. But anyways, let's just get right to it. All right, let's start off with the food. The food that I always use is the melon baked Parmesan pork. Basically max health and max magicka, which is good. The pots that I'm starting to run more and more off is the Essence of Spell Power, and it's simply just because it's either I'm doing VMA, trials, and yeah, that's about it. VMA or trials. So the Essence of Spell Power just gives you the little extra oomph, if you will. If not, you can just, whatever it is, like if you're doing like a 4-man dungeon or Undaunted quest, you can just use the Essence of Magicka, which is what I call the trash pots. Ignore these two here, don't worry about that. All right, so let's look at the stats. The numbers are as follows. Okay, so on the front bar, we have maximum magicka, we have 45,181. My health is 17,148. Stamina is 10,113. Magicka recovery is 812. Health recovery 321. Stamina recovery is 514. Spell damage 2223. Spell crit 61%. Weapon damage 1660. Anyways, don't worry about that. Spell resistance 15k. Physical resistance 9600. Yeah, that's about all you really gotta worry about. Though obviously the most important thing is the magicka. Now I'm gonna show you how I get the 45k magicka with this build, and I'm sure everybody's gonna be running this, or if they haven't already. All right, so let's look at the build. Obviously, it's gonna be 5-piece Burning Spellweave, all divines, with all magicka, max magicka enchants, of course. So obviously I'm going to do 5-1-1, 5 light, 1 medium, and 1 heavy. The medium is the Grothdar. I went through a couple of keys to get this, Undaunted keys. So medium, maximum magicka enchant as well. And then the heavy piece, the second piece of the Grothdar, is heavy, divines, maximum magicka as well. So that takes care of that. The jewelry is Moon Dancer. Moon Dancer, and of course with spell damage, 3-piece Moon Dancer. The front bar, I'm sticking to the willpower swords, and one of the reasons why I'm sticking to the willpower swords is because it gives me for 2 reasons. Number 1 is it gives me a boost in magicka, and number 2, I do not have any Moon Dancer swords. But even if I did, if I was going to do a VMA run, I would use the willpower swords over the Moon Dancer swords, simply because of the Moon Dancer. The 5th item is when you activating synergies. Obviously you're going to be by yourself in VMA, so there's nothing for you to synergize. Nobody's going to be throwing you shards or blue balls or anything like that, so you're kind of shit out of luck in that say. My back bar is the Maelstrom Infernal Staff, precise, because I still haven't gotten my Sharpen. Now, technically speaking, should I be running the Maelstrom Infernal precise? Not really. I should be running the a Sharpen. Any Infernal Sharpen would probably be better. But I do like the enchantment of the Maelstrom weapon. Just the wall of elements. I use it a lot, so I figured out I'm just gonna stick with it. So anyways, but that's just me. So there is the setup basically. Now, some of you might say, well, you know what, Carlos, I don't have Moondancer necklace. If you don't have Moondancer necklace, that's fine. You can put back the Infallible Ether. You can put these back in there. There's nothing wrong with them. However, let me show you something. Let me show you. I'll just put these back. Let me show you what happens if you put it back. Your max magicka drops slightly, right? So now in this patch, but your spell crit goes up a bit, right? So here's the little trade-off, if you will. And again, this is just my opinion. In this patch, obviously crit got a little bit of a nerf, but you still want some crit in your toon. But the biggest thing about this patch is that what you really want now is you want to have max magicka, and the reason for that is because all of the items, all of the abilities that are empowered or that are kind of coupled with magicka, with your max magicka, you're gonna hit harder. So as you're gonna see in the next little clips later on near the end of the video, you're gonna see that the max magicka plays a big role into your DPS. My sweeps, thanks to the 45k DPS, my sweeps are between 6k and 7k. Normally hitting. They crit. When they crit, they hit a lot harder, of course. So in this patch, it would appear that what you want to have is you want to kind of have raw power, if you will. You can't really rely so heavily on proc sets. Like Grothar was extremely OP before, and even now it still does a decent amount of damage. So yeah, so that's pretty much for the setup. You don't now, if you don't have Moondancer swords, then like I do, I don't have them. So I'm going to stick to the willpower swords. And then it gives me the little boost in magic, like 45k magic. That's pretty good. That is actually not bad at all. And then the back bar, of course, 42k. Just I'll explain that in a little bit with the skills. But the spell crit, what's interesting is that the spell critical goes up, and I believe that's just basically due to the Maelstrom weapon. All right, so now for the skills. The skills that I'm using, and let's start with the back bar, because the back bar didn't really change that much. So Blockade of Fire, Blazing Spear. Of course, if you don't know about Blazing Spear, it's now basically a dot. It does not stun anybody. And when you put it on, it's a very, very strong dot. In VMA, this Blazing Spear is just amazing. It just melts everything. Between the Blazing Spear and the Blockade of Fire, you will pretty much kill an NPC where they stand. Harness of Magicka, of course, for survivability. Rearming Trap. Now, it's debatable if you should be running Rearming Trap or not, because it did get a little bit of a nerf, but I still run it because it's still gonna give you a little bit of a DPS boost. And of course, Inner Light. I choose to run Inner Light. I don't have to, but that's just me. My bars may or may not. I'll change my bars accordingly based on whatever trial we're doing. Sometimes for example, if we're doing VA hard mode, I don't bother running the Rearming Trap. I change it out for, I believe it is Ritual of Retribution, right? And then anyway, so the ultimate for the back bar is Fiery Rage, which is the Destruction ultimate. So in the front bar, which is my dual wield bar, I have Channel Focus. Now, Channel Focus, I sometimes change it out. I swap it out between... where is it? Purifying Light. I haven't morphed this yet, or sorry, I haven't maxed it out yet. So sometimes instead of Channel Focus, I'll run Purifying Light. Again, it depends on the scenario. Again, if you're gonna do Vet AA hard mode, you want to be a little bit tankier, so you want to have Channel Focus. And I'm using Vet AA because I recently have done it, and I've only completed hard mode twice now, thanks to the guys who invited me to go with them. Channel focus makes a huge difference to the tankiness, which is helps for the survivability. All right, so again, so the one that skill that you can swap out is a channel focus depending on the scenario with purifying light. Then of course your puncturing sweeps, which are phenomenal. Of course, if you don't know, puncturing sweeps, their cost went down to 2009 magicka. Reflective light, I used to be running Vampire's Bane, but reflective light is way superior. Instead of one fireball, you get 3 fireballs, so you feel like Goku. And of course, the Radiant Oppression, the aka Jesus Beam. Yes, it got a nerf, but it still hits pretty good. You just have to be smart with it. You can't just go at 50% health of NPC and start Jesus beaming them. You have to think about it, and you have to keep your dots up, of course. And of course, Inner Light and Shooting Star. So now, from the passive from the Mages Guild. Increase your max magicka. This one, magicka controller. Increase your max magicka and magicka recovery by 2% for each Mages Guild ability slotted. So because I have Inner Light and Shooting Star, I get a bonus. As you can see, I currently have a 4% bonus. So that's why you see that my front bar has a max magicka of 45 while my back bar has a 42. That's basically it. The other thing that I should mention is that I'm wearing the 511. So what I did is, obviously you want all the passives from the light armor, but you also want the first 3 passives from the heavy. So Juggernaut just gives you, for every heavy piece you have, you'll get increase your health by 2%. So it doesn't sound like much, but it does add up. Same as the other 2 passives, right? So yeah, and I think that about does it. Now let's go to the champion points. Now keep in mind, these are the champion points that I normally run, and I only deviate depending on the trial that I'm doing, or pretty much the only trial that I'm doing. So these champion points, the way they're set up right now, is primarily for VMA. Anyway, so the Tower, Magician, I got 100. The Lover, Arcanist, I have 100 in Arcanist, and basically increase your magicka recovery, no brainer. The Shadow, I got nothing in the Shadow. The Apprentice, I got 35 in Elfborn, 82 in Elemental. Expeller Roshan, I have 1. Nothing in the Atronach. And the Ritual, I got 82 in Thaumaturge, simply because of the dots. Gives the dots a little bit of a boost. And again, this spec out is primarily for VMA. When I do go into trials, I do change it out a bit, and the tree that usually gets affected by it is this red tree. The Steed, Spell Shield, I usually keep 30. The Lady, Thick Skinned, I put 30 in there, 30 points in there. Hardy, 60, and Elemental Defender, 70. I'll just finish up here. Bastion, I have 10. And that's pretty much my distribution of champion points. Now, however, if you, depending on the trial that you're doing, for example, if you're gonna do, Vet ESO, you basically want to put 100 into Hardy. Basically, just because it reduces the poison, disease, and physical damage dealt to you by 17.5. However, if you want to do, let's just say, AA, then you want to put 100 into Elemental Defender, simply because it reduces the flame, frost, shock, and magic damage dealt to you by 19, dealt to you. So it's all magicka based, right? So depending on the trial that you're going to go into, you will have to change your CPs. There is no one configuration save all. Like I said, this configuration that you see here is primarily the one that I run for VMA, and in this Magplar I usually run VMA with quite a bit. So that does it for the setup and whatnot. I don't think I've missed anything else. Next, I'm going to show you guys why Burning Spell Weave is good for a Magplar. As you can see on the Magplar, we don't have too many abilities that cause fire, that inflict fire. Obviously Reflective Light. The Jesus Beam is not really well, I guess it says burn an enemy with a ray of holy fire. So there, Jesus beam is fire as well. So we have reflective light, Jesus beam, blockade of fire, of course, and of course your heavy attacks from your infernal weapons and your fiery rage. So those are primarily the ones that cause fire, right? And of course, as you can tell, burning spell weave, the 5th item, when you deal damage with a flame damage ability, you have 20% chance to apply the burning status effect to the enemy and increase your spell damage by 600 for 8 seconds. Now, some people questioned or asked me, said, well, why would the Templar run it? Well, you'll see that even with a Templar running burning spell weave, the uptime is still up there. It's still about 50 to 60% up there. So is it ideal? Yeah, it's fine. But I mean, there really is no other set. I guess you can run Julianos, really, because Twiceborn Star got a little bit of a nerf. The other thing too, because I'm not running Twiceborn Star, as you can see, my health is at 17.1, whereas before it would be about 18.1. So all right, so now let's go over to just proving why burning spell weave is effective on a Templar. All right, here we are. We are at the target skeleton. The one we're going to be using is the 3 million one, and the reason we're going to use that one is just because I'm going to be doing it by myself. I'm going to have to sustain myself. The 6 million would be ideal. However, there's no way I'm going to have sufficient magicka to kill that 6 million one. So in this scenario, I am going to be using channel focus. Oh, by the way, if you're curious if this is my house, this is not my house. This is Ink's house, my good friend Ink. I'm just using his target skeleton. Yeah, he's actually the funny thing is that this is the house that I really like too. I think it offers quite a bit. But anyways, let's not get distracted with the house. Okay, so anyway, I'm not going to really describe the rotation. The point of this part is I want to show you my parse, not so much to show how much DPS I have. I may even run out of magic, so we'll see how it goes. But what I wanted to show you is just how many times burning spell weave procs. All right, and here we go. Yeah, so much for sustain, eh? So obviously I'm out of magic, so I have to do some heavy attacks. Alright, so there you have it. Like I said, I'm by myself, so I definitely run out of magic. So what I wanted to show you here is now that this of course is combat matrix, which is extremely useful. But what I wanted to show you is this is the number of times burning spell weave was activated. And as you can see, burning spell we've procced 8 times, and so it was up for 50.7%. So as you can see, it's not bad. Mind you, if you really wanted to test it, you'd have to do maybe, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 runs and calculate the average, right? That's basically what you'd have to do. I'm just doing this as just a quick example. I have gotten it in other attempts that I've made to get to 61-ish, 62-ish%. So it's between 50 and 60% uptime, which is still not bad. Now, remember how I was saying I was comparing Infallible Ether versus Moondancer? Does Moondancer really make a difference? Absolutely it does. And here's why. Look at my puncturing sweeps. These puncturing sweeps are, the average hit is about, or the average damage that it does is between 5,656 and the maximum is 7,489. So the puncturing sweeps, the more magic I have, the more damage the puncturing sweeps are going to do. And of course, as a Templar, Magicka, or even Stamina, puncturing sweeps are your bread and butter, right? So Blockade of Fire, you know, I kept it up quite a bit, which is good. Radiant Destruction, like I said, even though it's nerfed, it's not completely gone. You just have to time it now. If you notice it during the DPS on the skeleton there, I started doing the Jesus beam while I applied my dots when the target was about 20%. 20 to 25. 25 is not bad. 20% ideally, of course, but you still want to keep your dots up. So Jesus beam is not gone per se. You can still, in trials, I've been able to get my Jesus beam to hit close to 60k. Between 55 and 60, and of course that's including Warhorns and everything. Right here, and in this little trial that I did here, this little experiment that I did here, I had nothing. It was just me doing it by myself. So as you can see, the Radiant Destruction, the Jesus beam, still hits for a decent amount, between 27k and 33k. So is it nerfed? Yeah, it is, slightly, but it's still going to be the best execute that the Templars are going to be able to have, the Magplars. Grothar is still procced, as you can see here. Damage was between 2600 to 2700. Blazing Spear. Blazing Spear is an extremely good dot to use in the last 8 seconds, which plays extremely well with the rotation there. Reflective Light, and of course Reflective Light has the ability to proc the burning, which is right here. So here we can see how much the burning damage did, rearming trap, and then of course the light attacks. So yeah, so there you have it. I think that pretty much covers everything. Like I said, this build is probably it's going to be the meta. It's what everybody's going to be running. Like Burning Spellweave in general, it's the go-to Magicka build. If you have a Magicka toon, this is what you want. I mean, if the Templar can pull it off, so can any other race. I mean, the Burning Spellweave is ideal for a Magicka DK, of course, just because they can apply so much fire, right? So you know, the 5th item from the Burning Spellweave will continuously be kept up, right? Or will be proccing. So, but yeah, other than that, like I said, if you do not have Moondancer, you could put Infallible Ether back, or if you wanted to, you could use Willpower Jewelry. Let me see if I have my Willpower Jewelry. I think I do. Yeah, I do. So you can put your Willpower Jewelry in here in replace, and then the swords, you can just use Taurus Pact, or any swords, as long as it gives you a little bit of spell damage, right? Because that's basically what you want. So Taurus Pacts, 2 of them provide that. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now the Grothar, of course, this one here, not the helm, the shoulder, like I said, I went through a couple of keys to actually get the damn thing in Divines. So that's, you know, but if you don't have Divines, you can just use medium, I don't know, not well fitted, infused. Infused is the next best in slot from Divines, right? So yeah, so hopefully that helps you guys. And if you have any questions, concerns, or want to know anything else, feel free to leave the comments down below, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. All right, have yourself a good one, and I will catch you on the next video. Cheers.